Welcome back to another video. My name is Brianna, and today, if you guys did not see the title, we're going to be going over freezer meals. So I filmed this back when I was pregnant. My little guy's about 3 months old, and I kind of forgot that I had filmed all these different clips, but I thought I would post now, especially because some of the, kind of new recipes kind of mix stuff around what we really liked. But we ate all these freezer meals postpartum and love them, and so I wanted to share them with you guys because they're super easy and simple, but hearty, yummy, and some of our favorite things to eat. And even if you're not going to give birth, they're just great freezer meals to make, to have whenever you want. So the first recipe we're going to be going over is Sloppy Joe sliders. Now this is one of my favorite Sloppy Joe recipes. I never was a big Sloppy Joe fan growing up, but as I found this recipe so yummy. It's the only way I'll eat Sloppy Joes now. So first thing I did was cut up or diced up the onion, and you could even do in smaller pieces, throw it to the blender, whatever, just to help so it doesn't become, or not as big of chunks if someone in your family doesn't like those. The onions, I did that with some peppers and all the different spices. Also, for the exact ingredients, I will put those down below so you guys have a list of those and can follow along. You guys will have those. After that, I started mixing up the ground beef, and I did a lot of this. So for every pound of beef will be like 1 pan of your Sloppy Joe sliders. So I mixed up that, cooked a whole bunch, and it definitely took a little while to get this much ground beef cooked up in a big pot, but we got it going and it was still really good. I think one of the reasons I love these Sloppy Joes is they're just so sweet and flavorful and just juicy and yummy. And I decided for the freezer meal to make these into more sliders because it was easier to make them that way. Normally I just do normal Sloppy Joes, but doing the slider kind of thing just was easier to be able to cook up and stuff for postpartum. So what I did was I had made a whole bunch of sourdough rolls up first, and I actually, when I was making these, I didn't have enough time to let them rise and everything, so they ended up a little bit smaller and a little more dense than I like, but they still were yummy and good, so I still used them. Kind of how I calculated these, and you can kind of decide too of how many you're going to be eating per meal. So I had enough, and this was all my freezer meals, was enough for dinner and then lunch the next day, because that's normally how we do things, as I have leftovers for lunch every day. I'm not a big sandwich or lunch style person, so that's what I do. So I calculated how many are each of us going to need in my family for dinner, how many are for my son, so it's usually 2 to 3, so that's kind of what our calculations were, so I had plenty of food. So I put the Sloppy Joe mix down, and then I put some shredded cheese down. You could be doing sliced cheese. Shredded is just what I had on hand, and I don't know my thought process, that's just what I used. But you could do either one. And then I put the tops of the Sloppy Joes or the rolls on top, and then just packaged this up into tin foil, wrapped the whole thing in tin foil, and then plastic so it didn't make a mess, and labeled it and threw it into the freezer. And then it was just super easy. We had it on hand for whenever I wanted to have these. I actually still have a couple of these in our freezer, so I still have a couple more meals because I haven't used up all my freezer meals, which is nice. So still when I have a night when I'm I don't know what to cook, I can do stuff like this, and it's great. And then just to cook these, reheat pretty much, is I pull them out in the morning of whatever day I want to use them, pull them out, let them defrost throughout the day, and then just throw them in the evening into the oven at 325, and then just until the meat, or not the meat, but the cheese was melted, and then I'd pull them out. So the next meal we're going to be going over is homemade pizzas. And this, you're just going to need your favorite pizza sauces, toppings, dough, whatever you want to do. So I started out with a homemade sourdough pizza dough. I will also put that recipe down below. It's my favorite to use. I make these all the time, and they're our favorite to eat. But let's say, for example, you don't want to make that. You could also just make your own normal pizza dough. You could go buy them from the store or do whatever. But this is just kind of what I do. The pizza doughs are really easy because I just throw them in. You just have your raw dough. I'm going to put all my toppings on top of them, and then I just freeze them like that, and then you can pull them out of your oven. I was actually super easy. I threw them into my air fryer oven and cooked them that way, and so it was just super easy. They did not take that long to cook. They're just super simple to do. So you don't need things that are complicated. I love pizza. I love especially homemade pizzas, so this was just really, really easy to make. So whenever I do these pizzas, they are serving sizes. The recipe I'll be sharing is just for like four pizzas for each recipe. So you want to multiply that however many times. Now again, I kind of calculate on how many do we eat for each one. So like I'd usually make 5. So like 1 for dinner for me, 1 for my husband, 1 for my son, or like half for my son, and then the next day for lunch. So I'd have like 5 for each meal planned out that way. Kind of pizza wise. So that's kind of how many I made. I made a red sauce, which was really just pulling out my homemade tomato sauce, and then I put some Italian seasoning in. That's all that my husband's was. That was a sauce. Then put cheese, and then I pulled a whole bunch of meats on his because he doesn't really like anything else. So those were kind of the ones I mixed for him and for my son. My son will eat whatever pizza we give him. But I ended up doing more of the red sauce because I just had my red sauce in hand. Where for me, I love Alfredo with like chicken, whole bunch of homemade herbs and onions. Oh my gosh, it's just my favorite. It's so tasty and yummy to make, to eat, all that. All the herbs were ones that I've been able to grow in my own garden, and so they were delicious. But yeah, these are it's just simple and easy to make. You just really do whatever your favorite pizza toppings are, your favorite sauces, and you'll be able to mix it up. So what I did was I sprayed the tin foil, put my dough on, put the sauce and the toppings and cheese and all that, and then I folded up the sides a little tiny bit, and then put a topping over it. Again, just labeled it, covered it in plastic, and threw that in the freezer. Now when I pulled them out, again, I pulled them out in the morning, they defrost, and then I threw them into the oven at 425, or if you're using like an air fryer oven, whatever, you can just push like the pizza setting and do it that way. I did find it was better when you're doing this to make sure you kind of unwrap the edge of the tin foil before you throw it in the oven. And I also put it like on a pan, but that way it like my dough was a little bit thinner and not as like fluffy, and so it was kind of sticking with the tin foil. So just make sure it's kind of undone around the edge, and then it's just easier to do that way. But there is the homemade sourdough pizza. So my third freezer meal I'll be showing you guys how to make today is homemade enchiladas. We found this recipe was one of my first postpartum. We made these, I made them up. I didn't really like hardly any of the recipes we did the first time. Like, they were okay, but not ones we loved. But this was something I made just for postpartum, and we fell in love with it, that I make it all the time now. In this recipe I'll be showing you, I'm doing ground beef, but the original recipe called for shredded pork. And we've always done shredded pork, and then I think a month or two before I was doing freezer meals, I tried it and I was like, oh, this is yummy and this is good. But honestly, after eating these enough, I really miss the shredded pork. So it really just your preference. If you want ground beef, if you want shredded pork, I think I'll be going back to shredded pork with these. Just so good. But it's pretty simple because you just put your meat. You could put cheese in there. You could even add a little sauce. It's just up to you. Kind of roll them up. And then we'll end up just putting the sauce on top after, and then cover it in cheese. So it's not too hard just to be able to make these. This is another meal. I did not love enchilada sauce growing up at all. And yeah, just like the red stuff, I'd always preferred the green. But then I found this homemade red enchilada sauce, again, less postpartum, and I fell in love with these as well. I will only eat enchiladas with this red sauce now. Like, I still do not like normal enchilada sauce, but this stuff is yummy. And here's the difference I have made, because again, I made these like this was like a year or two back, but I ran out of chili powder. Normally I get the chili powder from Costco, but I was out and I think I just had some chili powder I had like that was a little bit older, just from Walmart, and it did not taste as good or as sweet, and even the color was different. But we didn't like them, and I realized this stuff from Costco was so much better than chili powder. So make sure you get, it doesn't have to be Costco, but like a higher end chili powder. It will make a difference on how these enchiladas taste. But they're so delicious, and I'd give them a try even if enchiladas are not your favorite thing, because they convince me the enchiladas can be good. Thank you y'all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and have some yummy ideas to have for freezer meals, if that be postpartum or a different time. If you are maybe having a baby soon, congratulations, so excited for you. Hopefully you guys like these recipes, or they gave you ideas for other recipes. You guys just could turn your normal meals into freezer meals. But hopefully you guys have a wonderful day. Share it with a couple friends that you'd find very useful if they are due to give birth soon too. And hopefully you guys like this. Helps you have a great day, great night. God bless.